what's up you guys? Century Productions here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Neca Godzilla 6-inch figure. So here we got the Neca Godzilla. I'm so happy Neca got a hold of this license and they were able to build some of the toys from the movie. I saw the movie not too long ago in IMAX 3D and it was just awesome. One of the better summer movies this year, and I just had a blast watching it. And it was just really cool, man. So here we got the figure in its packaging. I'm not going to spend too much time on the packaging. I just thought it was kind of neat. Standard Neca packaging. It's got the warning sign, ages 14 and up. We got a pretty nice picture of Godzilla in the background there. And then you can kind of see through the side of the box that his tail's not on. So I'm hoping to get a good amount of length on that tail just because it's not on the figure inside the package. And then of course we got a little bio. You can pause that right there if you want to read that. Some more, graphics up top. And then you go down here and there's this picture. I don't even think this picture does the actual figure justice. This looks like a prototype almost, and the one inside just looks so much more badass. So you rarely see that. You'll usually see a better picture of the figure on the box than what the actual figure looks like. So that's kind of funny. Alright, so let's open this guy up and see just how much of a beast of a figure he really is. Alright guys, so here's the Godzilla out of package. I've had a chance to play around with him, move some of his pieces of articulation, and I'm really surprised by this figure. This is a really cool figure. So it only stands about 6 inches tall, so usually for NECA you usually get around 7 inches, or maybe 7.5. Here I got the Jaeger from Pacific Rim right here, and you can see how he stacks up against the Godzilla. So even though you are getting a smaller figure technically, there is a bunch of cool stuff that you get added that you wouldn't regularly see with a NECA figure, and that one of those things is this tail. This tail is really articulated. It really surprised me too, because you don't really get to see it in the package, and it's just a really cool figure. The articulation on this figure is what really surprised me, honestly. It has a really good range of motion on the hips. The arms have a really good range of motion, and of course the paint application doesn't hurt it either. You can see that we have this carbon black on the figure right here. You can see that on the side. It looks like there may be a little bit of blue hinting in here. It's very subtle. You have to really be looking for it. I can see it kind of on the legs, on just the tip of the scales right here. But when you move to the center of the chest, you can kind of see this brown, and then this brown kind of morphs into this lighter tan color. Looks like it's been dry brushed or something like that. Looks really nice. I really like the transition from the carbon black into this brown right here. And of course, if you take a look at the head right here, you can see that the inside has the tongue, and of course the teeth have been painted. They could be painted a little bit better, but I mean, just imagine how hard it is to try and paint those smaller pieces of plastic. You know what I mean? But I like the eyes. The eyes look really menacing. I actually like his overall tone on his facial expression. I mean, and like the sculpt on this figure is really nice too. You can see all these spikes. These spikes seem to be a different color from his scales right here. So let's take a look at that. So like I said, these seem to be a different color, and this kind of goes down into his tail. His tail kind of gets a little bit blacker as you follow it through all the way, which I think is a neat touch. I think that's really cool. Another thing I liked about this figure, let me zoom out so you can see my beautiful backdrop. Another thing I liked about this figure is the paint on the fingernails is glossy. It's like this glossy black, which is really nice. I do like that, and you can see some of that brown on the inside of his arm following up through here, which is really cool. And of course, on the toes, we've got some glossy fingernail paint, because Godzilla likes to get his toes done. I mean, don't we all? I mean, Godzilla's a person too. Well, he's not really a person. I guess he's a kaiju, huh? But let's talk about the articulation, because that's the part that really surprised me. I want to start with the tail. So you go down into this tail. It looks like there's some sort of piece of bendy plastic in the very bottom. So basically, let's start like this. Start from the base of the tail. So you got this piece of articulation at the base right here, and it's separated into sections. So you got this piece, you got this piece, you got this piece, and then you got this long piece for the end of the tail. And this long piece for the end of the tail looks to have some sort of wire in this thick part right here, so you can actually manipulate it and like move it around, get it in certain positions, and you can actually pose it, which I'm guessing is what these 3 holes are for. I'm guessing that's to let the figure breathe, or maybe give it some more space in there so you can move the tail around a little bit more. So that's what I'm guessing that does. And you can see the paint application on the bottom of the tail here. You got that brown following underneath it. So they even took the time to paint underneath the tail. I mean, this is just a really cool figure. But so like I was saying with the articulation, that moves, this moves, this moves, and of course this moves. And together you can really get a really nice range of motion out of them. So that's really cool. So you go into the hips right here. Hips have this, it looks like this sliding type of piece of articulation, so you kind of got to mess around with this one a little bit. It is nice to get into some poses, but it's going to look kind of awkward if you get it in the wrong one, so you can see how this kind of looks a little awkward. I do like the fact that they're giving us the option to have that bigger range of motion, so maybe if you wanted to have it in like a running pose from the other side, that could work because you wouldn't see the other piece of articulation. So that's cool. You go down into the legs, and the legs have a really nice range of motion. You can see how far the leg goes up right there, how far back it goes. And then of course you go into the feet. I'm trying not to obstruct my lights, but my hands are getting in the way. And this goes into the feet. You can see there's a really nice piece of articulation down there that allows it to turn 360 degrees as well as go up and down. And there's no pivot on there. Actually, no, I lied. There is a pivot. So you can kind of pivot it and get it into certain positions. Most of the time, the tail is going to be resting on the ground, which is really how you're going to get the figure to stand up most of the time. But you can play around with it and kind of even them out and get the tail up in the air if you liked. And so right here we got this piece of articulation, which I didn't really get to see in the initial set of pictures that they released right when this guy was announced. And I'm really happy with this piece of articulation. You can kind of see the blue in there. You guys see the blue in there? I see the blue in there. I don't know if my camera's picking it up, but I can see some, or maybe it's turquoise, some turquoise kind of, I don't think that's dry brushing. I think it's just kind of thrown into the base color right there, but that's really nice. Another thing I noticed is that even though when you move the articulation, you can still see that sculpted underneath. So you can get it in certain poses and you can still have that beautiful sculpt show through. So just that extra touch that Neca throws in there. I've never been like a true Neca fan. I remember back in the day a lot of my figures would break. I used to call them Brecca instead of Neca because I could just never trust them. I would open them out of packages and just kind of display them right away. But this figure is changing my mind. I'm slowly changing my mind about Neca. This is a really cool figure. They did a really good job. We go into the arms though. Really nice piece of articulation right here. It allows it to go in and out, front and back. Piece of articulation at the elbow as well as a swivel. And then we go into the hands, which you can move up and down, left, right, front, back, every which way you would like. Then we get into the head, and instead of just making this one piece, they just went ahead and made it two pieces, which is awesome. And with a figure like Godzilla, you know, usually you can hide the articulation just because of how the scales are set up. So this goes front and back. So this could turn 360 degrees right here, but you're going to have a lot of restriction as far as trying to rotate it all the way around. But you get to the head, and the head's got a really nice range of motion. You can go up and down, left, right, and that other neck piece really allows the figure's head to move even further right. And then, of course, at the jaw, you've got a little piece of articulation, and you can see inside the mouth. There's a tongue, and it's painted, and it's sweet. And this figure's sweet, man. You can get him at Toys R Us. You can get him online. So go out there and get him, and go out there and see the movie, man. The movie's awesome. All right, this is Century Productions, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.